Welcome to Washington East to West Sports. This is episode 49. I am Matt Beatty, joined alongside, as usual, by Sean Beatty and Kevin Ardolph. If you want to get involved in the show, go ahead and tweet us. I am at Beatty_Matt. Sean is at Sean_Beatty. Kev's at Kes with the first name believes being a three. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Leave us a comment. Tell us what you think. Follow our page on the Eli Network. Let's jump right into some Seattle sports. The Sounders did not lose. They did not lose. They snapped their two-game losing streak. I know. Yeah. Yeah. But they tied Dallas on August 4th, which was last Wednesday. So, they're coming back into stride. They've got some guys back. Christian Roldan's coming back. Nicholas Ladero's coming back. So they've got players coming back. So I think the Sounders are looking ripe for a nice deep MLS Cup run. So
they're over the Kevin curse of saying they're going undefeated.
Yeah. Kevin, what do you have to say for yourself for cursing them? And would you like to apologize to the Sounders as an organization?
Well, it's not over. They've only won one game since Kevin cursed them.
So. I know. But if he apologizes, they'll right the ship tomorrow against the Tigres.
I'm not going to apologize because now they know what the taste of defeat is, and they have it in their mouth, and they don't like it.
So if they win, you'll actually take credit for it by making them taste defeat, and then they don't want it.
The curse came at the right time.
Okay.
Before playoffs.
Man, you
before playoffs
planned out your curses. Wow.
Yes. So now they will be overridden on the curse. They know how to get past it and go, be victorious and stuff like that. And I promise I won't curse. This is not a curse. I already did that. I'm only allowed one curse per year, according to the curse
by
gods.
rule.
By rule. So you're welcome, Sounders.
Well, the Sounders take on the Tigres in the League's Cup tomorrow, and then they are going to Portland for a big match against the Portland Timbers on Sunday. So tune into that one, 5:30 FS1. If you have FS1, go ahead and tune into that because that should be a good game. The Cascadia Cup, always a great game to watch. So Sounders are hopefully righting the ship. And let's talk a little bit about the Olympics. So the Olympics are finally over. The closing ceremonies were last Friday. What was your favorite sport that you watched and your favorite storyline of the Olympics? So I will go ahead and start. Every 4 years we get to watch all these sports that never get attention. Obviously, we all love basketball, baseball. I like softball, all those great sports. But, for me, handball. Let's get more handball. I am going to advocate for handball. I am saying let's bring this more to the United States. How many places have handball around here? Not many. And it's honestly like the hockey lacrosse type game. It seems like it could fit in well in the American culture. And then I would also like to say my favorite storyline was Seattle Storm. Shout out Sue Bird. She won her 5th gold medal. And if you've seen a list of her accomplishments over her career, it's absolutely insane. She's won everything you could possibly imagine. NCAA title, high school title, gold medal, WNBA title. She's won everything. So Sue Bird winning her 5th gold is pretty great. So that would be my favorite storyline. Kevin, what about you?
I'm going to kind of repeat last week a little bit. I think the best thing that came out of this was Snoop Dogg and Kevin Hart. Period. Nobody saw that commentary team combo ever. I mean, you could kind of think we've seen Snoop Dogg a little bit on commentary before, but at least I have because he did it for a wrestling show, and he was freaking amazing for it. But honestly, if you're I know I'm a little bit trolling here, but I'm a little not trolling. If you're Fox or ESPN for football coming up, okay, right now, fans, you can tweet at us, comment below. Who would you rather hear? Would you rather hear Joe Buck and Troy Aikman for 3 hours? Or would you rather hear Kevin Hart and Snoop Dogg commentate your football game during the afternoon for 3 hours? I would rather prefer Kevin Hart and Snoop Dogg. Or ESPN for Monday Night Football. I don't even know who the heck it's going to be on. Oh, wait, no, it's Drew Brees, isn't it? I don't even know who's doing Monday Night Football this year, but literally, Kevin Hart, Snoop Dogg, make it happen. We want it. We want more of it. Just do it. But as far as sports-wise, I didn't get really watch the whole thing. Other than I will just give I know we're going to talk about here in a little bit, Julio Rodriguez being a sexy kitten for the Dominican Republic. So kudos to future Mariner beast, Mr. Julio Rodriguez. Other than that, I didn't get to really watch it because I was working religiously. So
spoiler alert later in the episode, but Sean, go ahead.
Oh man, my story was probably Allison Felix becoming the most decorated track athlete of all time, or American athlete of all time, most decorated female athlete of all time. That's my favorite story. The most fun I had watching is what I really always like was handball, but the decathletes. That's always fun. The Canadian guys set was the top 5 points all time. So that was always fun to watch them do everything, because they do everything and you're like, oh, they show world record times for everything and they get pretty close. Like for doing like 10 events or 8 events, they get pretty close to like setting, like they can play in some of these heats, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty impressive. But my other favorite story, which I shared with the guys here, was the para athlete. For those of you who don't know, is ones that do some shooting, some running, some other things. They also do equestrian, some horse stuff, and she went from 1st to 31st because her horse refused to jump. And so, like I said, horse jumping and prancing is not a sport.
Well, did you hear that the coach punched that horse?
Well, no, but again, remove horses from the Olympics and remove that guy, because that's a dick move.
The horse would not follow commands. So the coach got disqualified.
Yeah,
I was about to say, who punched the coach?
Yeah, just take him out back and shoot him. But like,
yeah, seriously,
it was a she.
What I said, if the horse doesn't want to do the thing, you're not doing the thing. So it's not up to you, it's up to the horse. So my point was proven. Unfortunately for this lady, it cost her a medal, but again, she didn't cost herself the medal, the horse did. So I'm saying let's remove
it out
from the Olympics.
Oh, also a shout out to the rower, the rowing sprinter. I forget her name, but apparently she trained in Seattle and also in Gig Harbor. And I also went boating around there yesterday, so I found out that. So that's pretty sweet. So shout out to that rower. I'm sorry I don't know your name, and I'm sorry I wasn't prepared. But way to win the gold.
She's like 19 too.
Yeah, she was 19. Yeah. So shout out, way to win the gold. But let's get into a little bit of some Seattle Kraken news before we get into the Mariners. So I'm going to share my screen here and show you a few of the most recent signings. Marcus Johansson, former Minnesota Wild, signed a 1-year, $1.5 million deal. And then Vince Dunn signed a 2-year, $4 million deal. I'm going to throw it to Sean. What do you think of these? Nothing, a little bit, something?
No, these are important moves. I would, and I say important as in like these are late liner guys, because we talked about it. Like they didn't have a lot of guys who people knew a lot of or had a lot of NHL experience. These are guys who have played in the NHL. They're going to be, especially Vince Dunn. These guys are guys who have played in the NHL, could be solid third liners. You probably don't want them being, for those that don't know, you have 4 lines, usually 1, 2, 3, 4. Fourth lines, in order. Line, the number 1 line, usually 1 and 2 get the most playing time, and then 3 gets the next, and then exponentially 4th gets the least. But those guys are important to have, because you can't play your 1s and 2s the whole game because they won't last that long. So it's important to have guys that just won't kill you be there. And if you can get production from those lines, it's big. And I think Vince Dunn and these guys and Marcus are solid upgrades and proven NHL players to fill up the bottom, because you don't want too many young guys down there playing with not a lot of experience, because that can bite you in the butt. So these guys are nice to fill in at the bottom there.
I think that they are good because they are tryout deals. They're 2 years, 1 year. They're not long term. They're not a lot of money. They don't count a lot against the salary cap. So I feel like it's more of a, let's sign you, let's see how you do for a year, and then we'll assess it after this, because the Kraken are kind of going into this situation of, we really don't know what we have. So we're just going to have a lot of guys in the mix. And then once camp starts, we'll kind of see where lines sort out. And then I'm sure they're going to be doing a lot of call-ups from Charlotte and back and forth, because, injuries will obviously happen because it's just a part of the game. And then you'll want to see what you have there at the AHL level if guys are really excelling. So I think these are both good signings. I think they'll both be NHL players for the most part. But if they play well and the Kraken aren't in it, like you guys always said, there's some trade value there. So I think those are both good moves there. Kevin, any thoughts on these two guys?
I mean, I've been paying a little bit more attention to like Seattle Kraken like timelines, but I don't have. I've been seeing that a lot of fans feel like they're going more in a defensive manner, which I don't know. That'd be more up to you guys on deciding if you think of that. They're going a little bit more defense for heavy versus offensive heavy. So I don't know if are they Pete Carrolling? Are they just doing too much defense, not enough offense? I don't know.
No, because a lot of your defensive guys can generate offense.
Yeah,
And if you have a great goaltender, that's going to win you a lot of games. So
but again, you're putting it all on the goaltender. I would say Kevin's partially right. You don't want to go too defense heavy, but what I will say is, looking at free agents, there are some free agents that are nice that are still offensive players that you could go after. James Neal, Eric Stahl. These are forwards that you can still get that have some name and hopefully don't cost a lot of money, and you could fill out that offense that you still might need some goal production. Getting young defenses, I think, big, and they did do that. They took a couple gambles, so we'll see if it pans out. But if they don't, they're going to leave that goalie open to a lot of having to stand on his head a lot.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you need defense, though, to absolutely be in front of your goaltender, because they also start the rush as well, because they're going to have the puck and then they're going to distribute out to your forwards. So they are, I would say, arguably the most important position, because they control so much on the ice, defensively and offensively, besides goalie. Yes. Yeah. So that is one bit of Kraken news, and then we got to discuss a little bit of Tri-City news along with the Kraken. So it was announced on Saturday that co-owner Stu Barnes of the Tri-City Americans is now the new head coach of the Tri-City Americans. So he has left his position. He was a scout for the Seattle Kraken for a little bit, but now he is back in the Tri-Cities and where he started his junior hockey career, and he is now the head coach of the Tri-City Americans. So Kevin, you are there in the Tri-Cities. I'm not sure if you plan on attending any games this season, but what do you think of a player coming back to where his and not necessarily where his career started, but his professional career kind of kicked off a little bit. And there's a Stu Barnes bobblehead right there.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm probably going to try to at least go to a couple, just because, like, as I've already mentioned on this podcast, I really don't know a whole lot about hockey, and that'd probably be a good way to learn about hockey. I've been to some games before with Sean and some other friends of ours, we've had other. Wait, no, Balloon 13 was with football. Sorry, I was going to mention
Balloon 13.
That was football.
That was football.
Yeah. But no, I'd be down. I'm always down for live sports, pretty much, even if it is just at the local level. Because we go to we've been to the Dust Devils, as we already mentioned on this. We also have a local football arena football team that we kind of see every now and then. It just really kind of depends on the COVID situation at the time, if it's a hot mess around here or not, as to where I will go out or not. If it's not a hot mess, I probably will. If it is a hot mess, I probably won't. So it kind of lingers depending on what I see at my work. So yeah, like I said, if the opportunity arises, I'd like to go just to learn more, just be in person and also experience it, and hopefully see a fight or two. That'd be kind of cool.
Sean, what do you think?
I mean, I can't speak to his coaching ability, but I think those guys who are undersized have to find a way, like Stu Barnes has to find a way to do the little things right. And I mean, if there's a guy you want coaching, it's the guy who does the little things right. So, again, I can't speak to his coaching ability because he hasn't coached really at a high level, but I like Stu Barnes. Matthew, you had a poster of him in it was our room for a while. You had a poster, and then I moved to across the hall, and you kept the poster. So
it's my poster.
You had that when you played for, I think, Buffalo, but yeah.
Yeah, it was him, Michael Pekka, and Dominic Hasek. That was a great poster.
Yeah,
somewhere around.
So I hope he's good. I mean, he's one of my favorites all time. So yeah, hope he's good.
Yeah, I used to work for the Americans. I met Stu, met Ole, both great guys. Stu has a lot of knowledge of the game. Obviously, won a Stanley Cup, so he has been around the NHL for a while. So, if there is anyone who will be a good coach in Tri-City and knows the area, is able to scout players, scout talent, it will definitely be Stu Barnes. So, I'll hopefully be able to get out to a game, either there or if they are in Kent against the Thunderbirds, or if maybe I feel like driving down to Portland, I might catch a game down there. So that would be very nice to see Stu Barnes behind the bench for the Tri-City Americans, and hopefully they kind of do give him a little bit of time to kind of build up the coaching pedigree and implement his systems, and he knows hockey, so pretty confident that he will do a great job down there. Was a little surprised that he actually left the Kraken. I thought that'd be a pretty sweet gig he wouldn't want to leave, but he decided to come back to Tri-City, and hopefully it works out for the best because Tri-City had that one year, I think it was 2017, no 2018, where they went to the Western Conference Finals with Mike Williamson as the coach. But since then, Mike left. They had Butchberger for a couple of years, and last year Butchberger had that weird COVID season, and that didn't go great, and he just decided to head out. So hopefully Stu can bring some stability, and hopefully they have a full WHL season to play out this year. So we will just see how the revolving situation with the pandemic goes throughout the state. So that'll definitely be an indicator of how much they actually play. So let us know what you think of some of the Seattle Kraken moves, about Stu Barnes going to coach the Tri-City Americans. Tweet at us. I'm at Matt. Sean's at Sean Betty. Kev's at Kev's believes the first thing believes me in 3. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Leave us a comment. Tell us what you think of Stu Barnes taking over for the Tri-City Americans. But guys, let's get into some Seattle Mariners baseball. And it has not been a good week for the Seattle Mariners. It could have been worse. It could have been worse, but it was not a great week for the Mariners. So while we were on this, wait, no, it was after the show. We got the Monday game, Tuesday game. They won 4-2. Then they lost to Tampa Bay in the series finale 4-3. Then they went to New York for 4 games, and it did not go well. They lost 5-3, 3-2, and 11. Then they lost 5-4. Were able to avoid the sweep yesterday with a 2-0 win. And they have an off day today. So, guys, what do you think of the Mariners' recent week? Sean, I'm going to throw it to you first.
Obviously, it's not good. You want to win more games than you lose. However, I would say it's expected. When you play Tampa Bay and New York, and you go 3-4, I mean, as rough as it's going to sound, I'd say it's a win. Like, those two teams are really freaking good. I mean, shocker. But again, we talked about how the Mariners have been really lucky, and they lose 4 one-run games. Like, it was going to flip. It unfortunately flipped. But there's a bunch of people constantly talking about how this bullpen's trash, all this other stuff. I have a stat here. In the last 3 games of the Yankee series, I'll tell you why I said the last 3 games. Because one of them went in the extra innings, so they had to go further. The Mariners bullpen pitched 13 innings about, and they gave up 1 earned run. If you include the first game, they went 15 innings, they gave up 4, because Seawald gave up a 330-foot home run that barely cleared the wall to Joey Gallo, and is a 3-run home run. So in Safeco, it's not a home run. It's a fly ball. So again, all things considered, in what I say, 16 innings, they gave up 4 runs. I mean, that's a really good. That's 2 games basically. That's a 2 ERA. The Mariners went into New York bullpen, and in 2 games had a 2 ERA. That's really good. The bullpen pitched really good. People just say like, oh, we lost all these games. All these things. I'm like, a bunch of runs were unearned or extra innings, whereas a guy already starts on second. Like, they're on all earned runs. What do you expect from these guys? Like, they went into New York with that big. Well, they got Gallo, they got Rizzo, they got Judge, they got Stanton, they got Gleyber Torres, they got Gary Sanchez, they got DJ LeMahieu. I mean, freaking A, like, all these guys, and they go in there in the summer in hot weather, because most of these were day games except for 1, and give up basically 2 in the 4-game series. Gave up 2 runs. That was all they did. I mean, or 2 earned runs a game. I don't think the bullpen was a problem. The problem was clearly the offense. The offense, you gotta pull your heads out, man. You just gotta do something, anything. So no, the starters, the bullpen, they all pitched fine. You go to New York and give up what? Less than 3 runs a game? It's on the offense, man. It's on the offense. Sorry. You only won 1 game when the other team doesn't score any runs. Like, it's the offense needs to pull their heads out.
Kevin?
Yeah, my predictions of last week almost came true. Because I said they would
Almost
sweep
did.
I said they would sweep Tampa and lose everything to the Yankees. Now, I also want to apologize to fans too, because I said the Yankees were better. And why that? Last time I looked at the records, which was like 2 weeks ago, because I don't pay attention to other clubs' records other than our own. Like the Yankees were barely 500, and then apparently they've just been going ham. They have a really good starting lineup, and then they have the best bullpen in the AL. Their starting rotation, other than Cole, is just the questionable part that I see. And honestly, that's where, as I'm going to elaborate to Sean's point, they fell flat. Guess what, Mariners fans? The Mariners have a top 3 bullpen in the AL. So please stop blaming the bullpen. It's go look at the stats. They have a top 3 bullpen in the AL. I mean, what more do you want from them? Like, they're doing things for you. So we need to calm down at the end. Like, stop looking at one game and say that's the problem of the whole team. Like, it's not. There's more other items. Let's talk about what the problems are. Let's talk about Andrew Heaney getting flavor blasted in the first 2 innings, giving up 51 pitches, and the Mariners falling asleep for 4 innings. Let's talk about that. Yeah. Oh, who didn't watch that game? Yeah, exactly. That's the stuff that kills this team. Like, we should have had Andrew Heaney out by the 4th inning, but we just fell flat. We just didn't do anything. We just got on cruise control because we're like, oh, it's 4-1. We're good.
Well, to your point, Kevin, the Mariners played an 11-inning game in New York against the Yankees, and Diego Castillo gave up 1 earned run. That was the only earned run in the whole game, and they lost. And you're gonna blame the bullpen? They played 11 innings, gave up 1 run. The whole team, not even just the bullpen, but 1 run.
Other than Cole, who wasn't pitching for them in their starting rotation, like, you should be. That's where you attack. Like, you know their weakness now. Like, you have to get them in those first 4 to 6 innings of how long until they pull their guys, because you know that bullpen is a top bullpen. Like, I mean, yes, they're going to make mistakes too. Like, I'm not going to act like the New York Yankees bullpen is not going to ever give up a run. They are going to do it. Just like ours being a top 3 is going to give up runs. It happens, folks. Everybody's like, well, we're a top team, so we can't give up stuff. And it's like, they're human, and the other team is paid to play.
Yeah.
I know, shocking.
You're right, though.
But,
like, if you're the better pitchers on the Yankees are in the bullpen versus the starters, or in general, you want to get after the starters rather than fight the bullpen.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Like, especially when you get them to 51 pitches in the 2nd inning, like stuff like that, you have to attack that. Otherwise, I mean, I think our starting rotation did. Like, Marco had a good outing. I thought. What's his name?
Again, they gave
JT's boy.
Flexen. They gave up less than 3 earned runs.
Yeah, Flexen did fine.
4 games. Like, they did really well.
Who pitched Sunday?
Kikuchi.
Kikuchi. Yeah, Kikuchi had a fine outing. I mean, he only went 5 innings, but still, I thought Kikuchi had a fine outing on Sunday. Like,
the other team scored 0 runs, so he must have pitched pretty well.
Yeah, where's your hate on the bullpen then when they didn't give up a run the whole game? It was 2-0, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they went 4 innings and gave up nothing.
Now, at the same time, too,
they gave up 2 hits in 4 innings. That was
at the same time, too. I want to talk about Sunday's game. They brought up a pitcher from AAA, and he literally went ham against this Mariners lineup in one of the most offensive-friendly ballparks, probably the most offensive-friendly ballpark, in my opinion, in the league, other maybe than Coors. Like, that's in the NL, but anyway, like, you should be clubbing dingers, boys. Like, I know they're paid to play, but
Gil's been kind of hot. I'm gonna be honest. That's not his first start.
I know. But like, you got to admit, like, he's getting called out. The pressure should be on him, and we just we just flat out stunk for literally 7 innings. So like that's unacceptable. Like if you're expecting this team to get to the playoffs, which none of us three here did, I don't think, at the beginning of the year at least, then you cannot pull that crap, especially against playoff other bound teams like Tampa Bay and the Yankees. Now you're going to get a little reprieve with the Rangers. You should beat them, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But like, stop blaming the bullpen and look at the game, fans. Like, seriously, before you go out and tweet your little tweets, look at what's actually going on in the game, please.
I will keep mine very short. So I was actually able to watch more Mariners baseball. I tried to watch more Mariners baseball this week. So on Wednesday, while we were on deadline, I turned on the Rays game, and I watched Toro and then Kelnick. That one inning, I was like, wow, that was a great inning to tune into. They lost the game, unfortunately, but that was very cool to see. And then I turned on the game yesterday, and I watched Kikuchi just pitch very well. Like, the offense didn't do much. I saw Mitch Haniger get a single, but outside of that, offense wasn't doing a whole lot. But Kikuchi looked very good, and that one little snippet I saw against the Rays was pretty good for Kelnick and Toro. But that being said, like Kevin said, we did not expect this team to go to the playoffs, so the losses are at this point, unfortunately, to be expected. So because we're kind of playing with house money here, we're really not supposed to be where we're at. But at the same time, these are two teams that we went to play in Tampa Bay and New York Yankees that you are fighting for a playoff spot for. So I was really hopeful that they would perform better. 3-4 is not too shabby. And the Mariners, while we say they're a year away, they certainly can compete with both of these teams. I don't think there's any question about that. Now, one game wild card, if they happen to make it against one of these teams, I wouldn't bet on the Mariners, but it's good to see them not get swept. And then in Tampa Bay's case, they probably could have easily swept them there. I think they probably should have won that game on Wednesday. But it didn't happen, and that's okay. But they do have a 6-game homestand coming up, so they've got 3 games against Texas starting tomorrow. And then, gentlemen, I am going to be the first one out of us to go see a Mariners game live. I am going to Seattle on Saturday to watch them take on the Toronto Blue Jays, and I am getting to see a gem of a pitching matchup in Yusei Kikuchi versus Hyunjin Ryu. I hope I said that right.
You said it completely right.
Yes. Wow. Yes.
Wow.
So I'm pretty excited to watch those two teams play. Also, I'm looking at the pitching matchup right now. They are, record-wise not similar, but ERA, WHIP, innings pitched, hits, like they're pretty close to the same. So I'm not sure if I'm going to see a pitcher's duel. Because I'm kind of hoping that Vlad Guerrero Jr. hits one out and then the Mariners win. I'm just saying that. Okay, I want to see their star do well.
Goose on the board for Toronto.
And then I want to see Mitch Haniger hit a home run. I want to see Seager hit a home run. Maybe Toro, maybe Kelnick. How about all 4 of them? That would be great. So I'm hoping. Huh?
Well, I was going to say Kelnick's bat's been hot, so that's most likely.
Yeah. I mean, Kelnick had one in New York. He had one in Tampa Bay. So I'm hoping Kelnick keeps it going. But, I think I'm picking a pretty good team to see and a team that is currently fighting with the Mariners in that wild card race. So these are important games on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then, as you guys have mentioned, the upcoming schedule, they have 6 of their next 9 against Texas. So we're really about to find out what this team is going to be going down the stretch in September, because you've got the easiest. Are they not the worst team? I can look up the standings right now, but they are not a good team. And if you want to be in the playoffs, you have to beat this team. Sweeps, double sweeps would be great, but at the very least 4-2. Otherwise, I think your wild card chances are very, very slim. Not that they're great right now, but you're still in the hunt at this moment. A little bit midway through August. So this is going to really be a key stretch for the Mariners, because they've been playing teams that they could face in the wild card and are fighting for a wild card spot 4, and then they're going to be playing teams that theoretically you should beat a majority of the time. So it's going to be a real important stretch for the Mariners. What do you guys think of this upcoming stretch for the Mariners, Sean?
Yes, it's important. I mean, technically the Mariners aren't out. I mean, we both view that like they're playing with house money, like you said. But if they make a run, Toronto is above them. And Kevin said they should beat the Rangers, please. Like Allard, Howard, Fultonevich. I mean, like you should beat them. Gilbert, like Gonzalez, Marco pitch really well. Like you guys should be able to beat them. So I'm, yeah. And then you depends on how you go against Toronto, but yeah, like I don't want to like get my hopes up, and I don't want anybody else to, but let's just enjoy the moment. But like, please beat Texas and do what you can against Toronto.
Kevin, any thoughts?
I'm going to be the glimmer of sadness for Mariners fans. I'm going to tell you why. Yes, right now, you technically do. After that, I'm just going to be realistic.
Don't do it to him, Kevin. Don't do it to him.
You have 3 series against the Houston Astros. Yeah, we saw how that went. You have 2 series against the Oakland A's. Actually, you might have 3. I might be mistaken, but I think you have a minimum of 2 against the Oakland A's. You also have Toronto, as we just mentioned. We also have a series against the Red Sox as well, who are a top team technically at the moment. So it's not you. I mean, you have a lot against. Most of the schedule is Astros and Athletics coming up,
And
in
Angels.
September. And Angels, yeah. Which you never know what. I mean, we should. Depending, where is Mike Trout at? By the way, is he even coming back this season?
He's still hurt.
Is he? I don't know. I mean, yes, you still have to respect Shohei Ohtani, and Walsh is out currently at the moment, but should be back by the time that we play them.
I think Ohtani's picked up too.
Sorry, 3 series against the A's, although 1 is a 2-gamer, so call that a series if you will. But
like, still, you have that's pretty much 6 series against the 2 top teams in the division, plus the top. Or actually, no, sorry, Tampa Bay took the lead. But wild card playing playoff spot for Boston and Toronto as well, who's also competing. So you have a lot of very important games against a lot of very good teams coming up. So that will kind of prove who they are, but also don't be surprised, especially with the Astros, that if they get murdered, because this team they're good, but their potential is still yet to come up, because like Kelnick still has to grow. You still have that sexy Julio guy down there. And then you got a lot of really good pitchers down below too that actually will make their way up, kind of like what Gilbert did. And we'll get there eventually, but just don't go crying to mama if we don't make the playoffs. Just saying.
let me just state for the rest of the season, series: Texas, Toronto, at Texas, at Houston, at Oakland, 2 games. So, host Kansas City, host Houston, at Arizona, at Houston, host Arizona, host Boston, at Kansas City, at Oakland, at Los Angeles Angels, hosting Oakland, hosting Los Angeles Angels to end the season. So
I mean, you could look at it as they have their fate in their own hands.
Yeah, they really do. They really do. They really do. Well, let's move on to some Mariners news that we weren't able to get to last week. So Seattle Mariners pitcher Hector Santiago was the first Mariners pitcher to be suspended for the sticky stuff. And now he is out for the rest of the season after testing positive for external testosterone, according to a story from the Associated Press. So he's giving up about half of his $700,000 major league salary. In a statement, he said, therefore, I've decided to forego my right to appeal on this matter and accept the suspension. I apologize for any harm this has caused the Seattle Mariners, Mariners fans, my teammates, and most importantly, my family. Any thoughts on this, guys? The Mariners bullpen, like you guys said, has been performing well. How much does this hurt the Mariners bullpen? Kevin, what do you think?
It hurts. Yeah, it does hurt, but like that bullpen still is really good. But like Hector Santiago was kind of your get out of jail free card piece that like Roenis Elias was supposed to be at the beginning of the season. Like when one of your starters doesn't have a good outing and only can go 2-3 innings, like Hector Santiago is your guy that's going to get you 3 innings. Like to get you to 6, to where the rest of the bullpen can just come in and just do like 2/3 of an inning to inning. It sucks. Yeah, you shouldn't. I mean, it's technically not allowed, even though technically it can be by prescription, because I play the pharmacy game. But if it's not, if it's clearly on the do not take list and you don't medically need it for certain purpose, like it's prescribed for many different reasons. So it just depends on what they just prescribe it for. So I can't really fully judge yet because I just don't know. But at the same time too, like you should know better. And I mean, he did come out and apologize about it. So, take your hit and don't fuck up next season. I mean, excuse me, don't screw up next season. Sorry about that. But we'll see. I mean, especially if we're going to try to make a playoff push, it would have been a nice bullpen piece to have. But what can you do?
Sean?
I don't really think it hurts too much. I mean, we're not. I don't think we're playing for this year. Hector Santiago is not a long-term thing. I want to see the Seawald guys. I want to see these other guys get some run and some innings. And if we see some other guys come up because of it and get some innings that Hector Santiago would get, I'm totally fine with that. I'm totally fine with whoever gets some innings out of this. So I don't really personally think it's too much. Sorry, I don't think it's too big of a deal, personally.
Yeah, I would have to agree with Sean. I mean, the bullpen has been without him for a while now, and it seems like they're doing all right. It is unfortunate that he was the example for the sticky stuff, but sounds like this probably would have come out anyway and scrapped the season anyway for this suspension. So it is unfortunate. He's 33, so who knows how many more years he has left, but hopefully he can kind of move on from this. And if he doesn't sign with Seattle, maybe he's got a future somewhere else, but that's got to be quite a killer to, I mean, maybe a career, but hopefully not. And hopefully he can come back from this and be a good pitcher and possibly for the Mariners organization. Who knows what next year will hold. But let's move on to give some kudos here. So let us start. I'm going to share my screen here with a lesser known prospect probably in the Mariners organization, Eric Falia. He brought home a silver medal for Team USA in the Olympics. So well done to Eric Falia, an outfielder, very crowded outfield. So, it's going to be tough for you to probably make a spot on the Mariners roster, but well done for getting an Olympic medal in Tokyo. And then, as Kevin already spoiled and mentioned, well done to Julio Rodriguez for helping the Dominican Republic earn a bronze medal. And that is no small feat because baseball is very much an international sport. So there are a lot of good teams. Japan took home the gold. So well done to the U.S. men and Eric Falia for earning a silver medal, and then for Julio Rodriguez helping the Dominican Republic earn a bronze medal. Sean, any thoughts on this?
Kevin already said Julio's a sexy kitten. When you have a 20-year-old hitting number 3 in the lineup for the Dominicans and they get third in a sport, like you said, Matthew, in a sport that's got a lot of international flavor to it, a lot of like teams that are very good. When you have a 20-year-old being number 3 in a lineup at a team that took third, that says something. So it's a good thing. Julio's a coming.
Kevin, any extra thoughts you want to add after spoiling our medal segment in the show?
Yeah, like just Mariners fans get excited for this guy because also if you get a chance, go to Twitter. I'm sure it's on Twitter. Go watch that home run he did against Korea because he just crushed that thing. I think it was out to left field, just murdered that ball. You could just from the sound of the bat, it's gone. Yeah, just get excited for this kid. He's coming next season. I don't know at what point, but he probably will make his debut next season for us, most likely.
All right. And gentlemen, we are going to forego a prospect report this week because We've got some.
Hancock got promoted to Double A today.
Oh, okay. All right.
That was
Any
it.
other news and nuggets? Is that it? Is that it?
No, that's it.
Okay. All right. Quick prospect report
Marte's
there.
a sexy girl. That's it. You
Uh,
already knew that.
So let's talk a little bit about some Seattle Seahawks football, because guess what? We have live football starting on Saturday. We already had live
Yes.
football in the Hall of Fame game, which I saw Kevin tweet there was football, which Kevin, it didn't
Good.
count, so don't worry about
That's
it.
That's
But
real football. Like,
yeah,
come
it's
on.
No.
not real.
No.
No, it was plus it was Cowboys Steelers, two teams
It's all
that
digital. It's all
Two-
digital.
two teams that we loathe, so whatever. But let's talk a little bit about Seahawks training camp. So I'm going to start off first with a training camp report from Sean and I's dad, because I asked him after they got back from training camp on Saturday what he thought the best position group looked like while he was at camp, and he said he was most impressed with the tight ends. He was most impressed with Colby Parkinson, with Will Dissly, and Gerald Everett. So our father said that the
You heard it here
camp
first.
report, the
Colby
tight
Parkinson-
ends,
Colby Parkinson is my dad's boy, not Kevin's boy.
direct quote from him.
Officially stolen, Kevin. Sorry.
I will fight him. I will fight him now. No, I'm kidding.
Direct
But,
quote, he is tall. That is
Bring
what he
on
said.
the fans of Kobe Parkinson, baby. Bring them on in. I've been
Yeah.
telling people. Woo!
Now,
Sorry.
he didn't see one of the best days of camp because there were a lot of guys that sat out. We know the holdouts, Kem DJ, Puna didn't participate. So there were a lot of guys that did not participate. But from what they saw, he said that the offense looked pretty good. So he was pretty excited about the offense. And he said you can't miss DK Metcalf on the field because, I mean, obviously it's DK Metcalf. He's a big man. So it's very hard to miss DK on the field out there. But let's talk about those two holdouts for the Seattle Seahawks. So Dwayne Brown is unhappy about a lack of a new deal, which, you and me both, Dwayne. But let's just say that he is not happy about not getting a new contract. He's in the final year of his current deal, which he's scheduled to make $11.35 million. And he ranks 4th among left tackles for average annual salary right now. Oh, sorry. Base salary is 4th. Average annual is 17th. My apologies. And then Jamal Adams is also at camp, but is not practicing. And we have talked at length about Jamal Adams' first season as a Seahawk. So I'm going to ask you guys about your level of concern for these two guys not practicing, and we'll start individually. So Dwayne Brown not practicing. How concerned are you about him not being on the field? I'm going to go ahead and start this topic. Dwayne Brown is a veteran. He was the best offensive lineman on that team last year. You need to pay this man. I know he is getting up there in age, and he's going to be 36 later this month. But you traded to get him. He deserves to be paid. He has earned that paycheck, and I think you need to pay this man and get him on the field, because the offensive line desperately needs to protect Russell Wilson, and that is one man you want in front of you protecting Russell Wilson, especially the blind side at left tackle. So pay the man. Let's get him on the field, because I don't want him to come off of these contract negotiations, be a little bit cold and rusty, and potentially hurt himself. So get that man on the field, please. Let's sign a deal. Kevin, what do you think?
Yeah. Dwayne Brown, are you going to be Andrew Whitworth? Are you going to be able to hold your crap for 4 more years until you're 40? Probably not. But so I agree with Matt. You should pay him. But I want most of his contract to be incentives on health. I want to see the more games you play, the more money you get type of deal. Because that's where it has to be. I'm okay with a 2 to 3 year deal. I don't want to see anything more than that. And like I said, I want to see games played incentives in there to where money is dependent on how many games he's active. Because health is a big deal, and especially with his age, concerning this needs to be a smart contract. And Dwayne Brown shouldn't be upset about a contract like that, because he's had knee injuries in the past. I mean, they were from random chop block well, not chop, but like people rolling on it and stuff like that, which happens on O-line all the time, sadly. But you get rolled up upon and stuff like that. But I agree. Like, he's the best offensive lineman on your team. You need to protect Russell Wilson. I've been saying that pretty much for the last year and a half to 2 years. I mean, plus. So do pay the man, but just I don't want anything more than 3, and I want incentives based on how many games played, pretty much. So
Sean, what do you think?
He's getting up there, but as we see, tackles, especially athletic tackles, can age pretty gracefully because it's not a wide receiver and has to run a bunch. And if you've ever seen a picture of Dwayne Brown, it's not like the man doesn't take care of himself. So he's still in amazing shape. Sorry, DK, I think he gives you a run for your money and relative size and shape of how good he keeps himself in. Because for a guy that big, he is yoked. So I don't think, like Kevin's right, injuries are a concern, but injuries are a concern for a lot of people. But as a left tackle, he's not showing any decline in ability. So I would sign him. I mean, we don't know how long he wants. Does he want a 4-year more deal? Does he want a 3-year? Does he want a 2-year more deal? I don't know how much he's asking for, but I don't have a problem because he's got 1 year left. I don't have a problem giving him 3 more years and playing till 39 because it's not like he's slowly regressing. He had by some metrics, his second best year of all time last year. Like, he's been very good, and he's still absolutely elite. Was the 4th best tackle in football, left or right side combined. So his numbers graded very well in efficiency and other things. So I'm okay giving him money because you need him, and he really is that gel. If you don't have a left tackle, and it's really, he knows what's your other option after him. Like,
Oh, hold on. Let me bring up the story. I believe it was Cedric Ogub. God, I mess up that name every time. Jamarco Jones as well.
Right,
Yes.
but like, I like Jamarco Jones. Me and Kevin both like Jamarco Jones, but I don't want Jamarco Jones starting left tackle all the games if I have the option of just keeping Dwayne Brown. I want Dwayne Brown playing that position. So, yeah, you got to pay him. Don't get crazy. Don't give him Trent Williams money, but you need to pay him more.
Too.
You need to pay him.
I don't know if you guys saw that.
What?
Aboyhi and Jones are hurt.
Yeah, but yeah, you need to pay Trent Williams decent money because he deserves it, playing well enough, and he's good. Like, I mean, and who else you got?
All right, now let's move on to Jamal Adams here. I have been thinking quite a bit about this because I hear all the Twitter noise. It's generally just Twitter noise, but for the most part, it seems like Seahawks Twitter is in agreement here that we need to extend Jamal Adams. And I hear that, and he has been a 2-time All-Pro, didn't have a great season last year, he was pretty banged up. And the last story I'm seeing here on his news page on ESPN is Carroll hopeful Adams deal gets done very soon, in quotes. That was 12 days ago. So I have been kind of thinking about this. Like, if you don't extend Jamal Adams, will he sit out the entire season? I could see that. When will he cross the picket line? Who knows at this point? Maybe in the preseason at some point? Possibly. But I had a thought, and you guys can tell me if I'm crazy or not. But what would you say to the possibility of trading Jamal Adams? Now, I think you'd have to get at least a 1st-round pick in return.
It's not happening.
But what if there's a team out there willing to pay that price? Would you be willing to trade Jamal Adams for a 1st-round pick and not have to pay him? Is that even a thought possibility for anybody, or is it we have to pay him? We gave up too much, blah blah blah. All I've seen on Twitter all the time. I feel like everyone thinks this is the only option, but what if there are other options? That's all I'm throwing out there as devil's advocate here. So what if there is a team who needs a safety that was willing to give up a 1st-round pick? I don't think it's totally out of the realm of possibility. I don't know if it's really something the Seahawks would consider for what they gave up for him, but if he's not willing to play under his current contract, and throughout the preseason, if he doesn't show any sign of wanting to play based on his contract situation, what do you do? Do you just let him sit there, sit out the season? I feel like if there is a team that wants to give him money and trade a first round pick, why not? We saw last year how he played. It wasn't the best. He had a good season sack wise, but am I crazy? Sean, what do you think?
Yeah, I absolutely. Jamal Adams has all the leverage because he knows the Seahawks gave up a ton to get him. However, let's just say they don't make a deal and he doesn't want to play. You could still just say screw you and just make him, because if he doesn't play, he doesn't gain a year of eligibility. The contract doesn't void, and he still has a year, so he has to report after like week 8 anyways. He won't sit out a full season, right in his like prime money window. He'll play. He'll come around week 8 no matter what. I don't think he's the type of guy to sit out the season. He's making a point, I think. And that's what Pete Carroll said with Dwayne Brown. He's making a point. I think as long as Seattle's actively trying, he will play. And I think Seattle will bend to his will and they will pay him. With all that said, I think he'll play better than he did last year. I don't think he'll be as bad as he was last year, but it's going to suck paying that guy that much. And Matthew, I think with how much other executives and everything like that, and everybody and analytics people and all the NFL people have analytics people made fun of the Seahawks for doing what they did, you are not getting a first rounder for a non-quarterback anymore. I don't think they know the value of players, and first rounders are for quarterbacks. You could get a first rounder maybe if it was a couple of years ago, like a Seattle gave up a 24-year-old safety with 2 years left on a rookie deal. But a safety with 1 year left and who won't play under his current contract, you're not getting a first round for that guy. That's not happening. And if you do, giving up 2 firsts and a third and then not taking that guy and admitting you suck at this, you have to bite the bullet. You have to sign him. You have to. It's what it is. He's got all the leverage, man. He's got it all. He knows
Kevin?
it.
It's tough. I don't think Matt's crazy. I actually think there are teams dumb enough to do it because head coaches, as we've said, Sean, are very stupid.
But the head coaches don't make the call.
Depending on where you kind of, I mean, there's a lot of front office people that are dumb too. I mean, Houston, Texas.
They don't have any picks, so that's the problem.
That's true too.
The Jags, you could convince me, but the Jags are trying to trade their first round cornerback from last year away. They're not going to then trade for a Jamal Adams at the same time they're trying to trade away a DB. So I don't know if you're getting a first rounder. I doubt you're getting a first rounder.
It would be interesting. Like I said, most likely Sean is probably right. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. I think especially mid-season, like if like a team like Jacksonville does get hot and they think they can make a playoff push, like say what's his face from fucking who did they draft? Number 1 overall. What's his name again? It's been too long.
Well, hold on. I just Googled really quick. I just thought, what was the worst defense in 2020? It was the Detroit Lions. And they traded Jared Goff and got back 2 first rounders. They had the worst defense. Why not throw a first rounder out, get a safety you might be able to pay?
No, but the problem
Dan
with
Campbell
that
is dumb,
the problem with that is the Seahawks traded for a guy who was holding out in New York and got 2 first rounders for him. The next year he's like, I'm holding out again unless you pay me the most money and I want to be paid like a linebacker or a defensive lineman. And the team's looking at all this and be like, I'm not giving you shit. This guy's going to hold out for 2 years in a row and wants to get paid a defensive lineman contract, not even a safety. There's no way you're getting a first for that situation.
Actually, Matt actually kind of, Detroit might say, hold my beer, Sean. That is
not
actually
doing it. They're
Dan
not doing
Campbell
it. Zero chance.
and that front office are not smart. Let's just be like that. Most likely probably won't happen. If it did, I can't say it wouldn't be shocked, but I would say it's like 95% not going to happen.
But like it just said, he's holding out for 2 years in a row, and you're just like, and he wants to be paid above market, and you're like, I'll give you a first rounder for that guy. How did it go for Seattle? Like, it's not going well. Like, and you want to jump in that well again? Like, I just don't see a team willing to do that.
Now going on, like, especially
trading
since
him for less than a first, I could see, but going and giving up a first to then get into that mess, I don't know.
Would you do it for 2 second rounds?
No, I would just bite the bullet and sign him. Like, that's just what you have to do at this point.
If it was 2 second rounds and like a later round pick, I might consider. Like, if it was 2 seconds and a fourth, I might consider it.
He'll play better. It's just.
But
God,
the reason why
you could save that money and spend it on Russ or some linemen.
They're not going to. Like, that's the problem. Like
now, the reason why I say that is because you have a safety that can play there in Blair that we're not using.
We drafted Blair and then traded for 2 safeties. If I agree with you, Kevin, but if they thought that, they would have traded for 2 safeties. Like,
yeah, they were very dumb, and they went and got a safety even though they already had one because Pete Carroll doesn't know how to evaluate talent. You already mentioned this. I won't go down that well, but that would be kind of the fallback. Yes. Now Pete and John would then have to admit that they're dumb, which they'll probably put in weird terms that, you know, Seahawks fans will be like, oh, okay, this is a smart deal by them. And we're going to be like, no, they're saying they're stupid. They messed up. But that would be the only thing. It's just because you have Diggs, you have Blair that can be your safety positions, but Blair's not going to be used other than a nickel possibly. And then Ugo doesn't get used, even though he was good. So literally there's going to be a good player that's going to be sitting on the bench for a lot of the game just because you have Jamal Adams there because Pete Carroll is done. So that's why I'm saying I could see the consideration. Will it most likely happen? No, I think Sean is correct. I think we will sign him eventually. Now, also Seahawks fans, if you don't see him in the preseason, stop freaking out. I personally don't even want to see him in the preseason just because I don't want any chance of him getting hurt. I like just it's like Brown. Other than Russell, when Russell's on the field, I don't want to see Dwayne Brown out there just because I don't want the man to get hurt. Now, at the same time, too, I do want the offensive line to learn, you know, offensive line chemistry is a huge thing, especially since you're moving over a new left tackle, guard. But you have a 35-year-old, about to be 36-year-old left tackle out there who is, even though his knee, like I said, his knee injury is because he got rolled up on. It was a freak thing, but that can't happen on the line. Other than that, Sean has mentioned he's a freak stud athlete and he should be okay. I just worry about things in preseason. Sorry, I'm a weird word. But if you don't see him out there in preseason, it's okay. It doesn't matter because preseason doesn't matter. Like they're good enough to get stuff going day one. Like as you saw in the Atlanta game, like Jamal Adams was a freak on a leash, off a leash, pretty much in that Atlanta game, just day one. Like it will be fine.
I mean, like you said, Kevin, he's played like 14 years in the NFL. That dude doesn't need the warm up preseason.
No, like why? Other than protecting Russell, and like that's the only time I want to see him out there is when Russell's on the field. That way Russell doesn't get hurt. Is the only time I want to see Dwayne Brown out there at all during preseason. And honestly, I don't want to see much of Russell out there either. Because honestly, we're not going to show the playbook just like we didn't do last year. And I already mentioned this on the preview, so I'm not going to go too deep. I apologize. But we're not going to show the new offensive coordinators. We're just going to pound the ball and do weird crap that we did last year. We're not going to show anything really that we did, that we're planning to do for this season. Because that's Pete Carroll's strategy. It's like we're going to throw people off, even though they'll see the tape from week one and just do it. But
all right. Well, let's move on. We are almost at an hour here, so let's acknowledge the newest Seattle Seahawks Hall of Famer. Steve Hutchinson was inducted to the NFL Hall of Fame this weekend, along with a pretty solid Hall of Fame class, if I do say so myself, with Troy Polamalu, Edgerrin James, Peyton Manning. There's quite a good list of players to be inducted in the Hall of Fame with. But former Seattle Seahawks Steve Hutchinson What can you say about him? He was a guard for the Seahawks for 5 seasons, and he was a 3-time All-Pro. He helped the Seahawks get to Super Bowl 40. It didn't go so well, but we don't want to talk about that. He blocked for 2005 MVP Sean Alexander. So along with that stud of the left side with Walter Jones right next to him. So let's give some kudos to Steve Hutchinson. And Sean and I used to play Madden quite a bit. And you know what? When you had the Seahawks and you had Sean Alexander, who Steve Hutchinson and Walter Jones made him. Let's just put that out there right now. But it was always great to have Matt Hasselbeck guarded on that blind side by Steve Hutchinson. Huh?
Sean Alexander had good vision. He could find the hole. He could cut back.
Okay. Defend Sean Alexander. That's fine.
Yeah.
But let's just give him a lot of credit for protecting Matt Hasselbeck's blind side during his peak years, for getting the Seahawks to their first Super Bowl, although they didn't win it. Thank you, referees, but we're not going to go down that road. But congratulations to Steve Hutchinson for making it to the Hall of Fame. Apparently, I don't think they go in with a team anymore, is what it seems like. So I guess he's a Seahawk and a Viking and a Titan. But I imagine if he were to go in, he'd probably choose the Seahawks since he had much more success with them. But congratulations to Steve Hutchinson. Sean, what do you want to say about Steve Hutchinson?
That Seahawks team, I believe, was 34 for 34 on 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1 on that year. And they lined up and said, we're just going to run it to the left side. And they did. So you can't have any more respect than that when the team and everybody in the stadium, like, look, they're going to run it to 2 dudes, Hutch and Walter. And they did it every single time. They were 100%. So you can't get better than 100%.
Kevin?
Yeah, he was a beast. I would have loved to see him a little bit, born later so he could have been with Russell. Like that, but honestly, like I don't know, did they have like a teleprompter out there with it? Because I was honestly surprised the amount of names that man rattled off and remembered. Like, it was impressive. Like, unless he had a teleprompter that I just didn't see, like, he was just going off on names like crazy. He named so many people, just in the like rolling off the tongue, just beautiful speech by him. Yeah, I mean, he's forever one of the great offensive linemen or just players for the Seahawks that you remember. Like, when you remember that team, you remember pretty much Walter Jones, Hutch, Alexander, and Hasselbeck.
Dale Jackson was one of my favorite Seahawks wide receivers.
Yeah. But I mean, that line was what was so dang impressive, like, especially on that end. Like, so yeah, like, I'm glad they're both in, both him and Walter.
Max Strong, sorry.
And Max Strong. And so, yeah, I forgot about Max Strong, because he actually did mention him. Hopefully Max Strong eventually makes it in. That'd be cool to see him at fullback.
Also, my favorite Seahawk name, one of my favorite Seahawk names, Lofa Tatupu on that team as well. That was quite a team. And he goes in with the modern era players in the class of 2020, which was Steve Atwater, Isaac Bruce, Edrin James, and Troy Polamalu. So pretty solid modern era class to go in with. Quite a few Super Bowl winners. So good Hall of Fame class, and congratulations to Steve Hutchinson. Let us know what you think about, possibly trading Jamal Adams. Am I insane? Maybe. Go ahead and tweet at us. I'm at Bainer Sean's at Sean Scorbady. Kev's at Kev's believes first name believes being a 3. Go ahead and subscribe to us on YouTube. Tell us what you think in the comments below. Follow our page on the Eline Network. Guys, next week we're gonna have some actual football to talk about. I mean, it probably won't be a lot because who knows how long the Stars will play. But we're gonna have some actual live football to talk about, and then we'll see where the Mariners stand after 3-game series. I'll give a live report from Seattle as well. I won't be in Seattle. I'll just report from my time at the game. So we will see you next time on Washington East to West Sports, episode 50.